Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Joanna Daniel. I'm a counselor, speaker, and author, and I work with adult survivors of childhood trauma and women who experience abuse, which brings me to why I'm doing this reaction video. I've never done one before, thought of it many times, but never done one. But I want to react to my favorite TV series, The Chosen, and a special scene by Matthew and his parents, and how they dealt with the topic of forgiveness, how they dealt with an apology, some of the things that were very crucial and important in forgiveness that I see demonstrated in this. So I'm going to share that with you. If you tell me how you some of the things that you do to manage forgiveness and why it's important, and some of the things that when you try to forgive someone, what are some of the things that is important to you? What do you want to know? What are some of the things you want to see?
This is good. Thank you.
Not really. Our current batch isn't very good.
I've been traveling and I haven't had good wine, so this is fine.
How were your travels? We'd love to hear more about them.
They were good. Thank you.
Are you sure? You've lost weight. Have you been eating enough?
I used to eat too much.
No, you didn't. You looked healthy when I saw you. I hope.
Ellie said it was good.
I like your beard.
Thank you.
How did you handle sleeping outside?
I'm better at it now. I'm proficient at making a tent, and I've also learned how to strip bark for dry wood. Philip is my friend.
You have a friend.
Yesterday, my rabbi said that every time we pray to God, we must ask Him to forgive us our debts. And I recognize that I owe quite a debt to you.
Matthew, you don't owe us any money.
That isn't material. I hurt you, and I hurt our community. And my rabbi also said that before we lay a sacrifice at the altar, if we know a brother has an offense against us, we should leave the sacrifice there and go be reconciled. Of course, only priests lay gifts at the altar, and you are not my brother. But this example is in many ways a metaphor, which I'm learning. And
Yes, Matthew, we get it. Move on.
I never understood why I was so different from everyone else. I just wanted a comfortable life.
You wanted to be better than everybody.
Yes.
No, you're right. And I loved affluence because of it. I was comfortable behind bars in a booth and the armed escort behind the gold door. All the while you were still in that synagogue. You lost your reputation and friends. I shamed our family. I turned my back on our people, and I believe the choices I made were better for me and more important than my family and faith. That was selfish. Which is wrong. I didn't understand that then, but I do now. And I'm sorry. Yeah. I wish I could take back the harm I caused you.
All right.
It's so important here how this is done. I think it's a beautiful example of how forgiveness should be and how forgiveness is. It's awkward. We see the awkwardness in the communication with them when he arrived. How it's very clear that the relationship is strained. The kind of conversation they were having, the things that they didn't know about him. You have friends, that means they didn't know so much about him. So it's very clear that the relationship is strained, that there's this awkwardness in how the conversation started, but also beautiful how Matthew's character just got straight to the point. He came there to apologize, and he wanted to apologize. So he didn't blame anybody for his decisions. He also didn't justify his decisions. He apologized for the impact of his decisions on his parents. And sometimes the things that we choose to do won't only have an effect on us, it will affect other people. While we might not regret what we've done, we can also regret that what we did harm others. And that's really important. Now, I think also Matthew is acting off his conviction that what he's doing is right. Now, some things I want to notice. Matthew went home. It might not be safe for you to go home. So if you're thinking about forgiveness, and if you're one of the things that happens in the Christian community is we're pushed to forgiveness, right? Almost like it must take care of all the other areas, and it doesn't take away the pain. Matthew was abandoned, and so we're going to see how his parents dealt with that later on. But I want to point out that if you are struggling, if you've experienced neglect and abandonment, and you or whatever it is that you've experienced in a family, that a dynamic that has been harmful to you, for Matthew, that was it. His choices, his parents abandoned him. That he was isolated and ostracized from his community. He was alone. And even though he had affluence and wealth, he was alone, and he recognized the impact of his choices. But it might not be safe for you to go home. So you might need to assess your physical safety and your emotional safety about going home. You may need to do it via phone. You may need to send a letter. You may need a mediator. You may need to meet in a public place. Please assess the safety for yourself, the emotional safety and the physical safety. Another thing that is really important here is Matthew didn't really need anything from his parents when he apologized. He wanted to stand, he wanted to talk, he wanted to apologize, he wanted to. So this wasn't about them so much as it was about him and his conviction. So those are really some things to think about. I've known that sometimes, and we don't know where this relationship will go, because sometimes forgiveness can't always mean restoration. And once again, if the dynamic is harmful, there has to be a level of assessment and a protection. So restoration isn't always possible when we forgive. But let's see the things that his parents did that perhaps we could learn from. Let's see how they managed it.
Matthew, sit down.
I prefer to stand.
Please.
I don't deserve the courtesy.
You're not the only one who must atone. Are you hungry? I lost my business because of you. And you are correct. We lost our reputations and friends.
I know.
But I had no right to reject you as my son. God should strike me down for the things I said to you. I was shameful. Can you forgive me? I only made things worse. I'm sorry.
We're sorry.
But what?
How beautiful was that? We are sorry. We did some things that were wrong. We recognize what we did. We recognize our part in doing it. We're sorry. So clear about giving, about taking responsibility. Yes, you did this, and yes, you did this, and yes, these were the impact on us, but we did some things that we wanted to apologize for too. Matthew said, well, what happened? We saw him too. Now, this is the place where I want to talk to Christian parents. We saw him too. He had an impact on us too. God had an impact on them. The words that Jesus spoke had such an impact on them that by the time their son came home, their estranged son came home, their heart was ready to receive the forgiveness, to receive the apology, and to be prepared to accept and own what they have done and to also apologize. You know, I was in the church last weekend, and I was talking about the legacy of trauma. And as I talk about the legacy of trauma and some of the things that happen in our homes, there's a gentleman that says, you know, I think I need to apologize to my children, because if I'd done things differently, maybe they would have been here. And there, you know, no one can tell whether or not they would be. But I think what was significant was the fact that he came to the place where he understood that he may have done some things wrong that may have caused his children to not be sitting in church with him. And sometimes as parents, as Christian parents, we don't take ownership, we don't take responsibility. Jesus doesn't have the kind of softening effect on our hearts for us to take responsibility. Now, I can appreciate that sometimes nobody ever apologized to you, and nobody ever took responsibility, and so you've never experienced that level of advocacy and safety, and so you might not know how to do it. And that's why I'm reacting to this, because I think that we can all learn about how to do it. So maybe the question from me to you, if you're a parent, knowing that you need to ask forgiveness, is what do I need to do to come to the place where I can take responsibility and ownership for what I have done and make restitution? How can I do that? How can I ask for forgiveness? How can I accept forgiveness? How can I accept and forgive somebody who's taking responsibility and accountability? And how can I make home a safe space for my children, recognizing what culture did to me, what religion did to me, but have I met Jesus in such a way that he can soften my heart so that we can do that? Now, there's sometimes that there are dynamics that happen in families that makes this level of harm can be generational. If you are in the middle of the generation, you can still take care of the generation beneath you. There might not be anybody around from the generation above you to ask forgiveness from, but if you're in a position to do it, then it's really important that we do. And so we can learn something beautiful from this story about forgiveness, about how it's done, about how to take responsibility, about how to apologize. But just remember, assess safety for yourself, physical safety and emotional safety. Because sometimes we forgive and we feel like the person will admit that they're wrong, and sometimes it doesn't happen. They don't admit. They won't admit. They don't see that they've done anything wrong. Sometimes parents can be in a place where they don't see that they've done anything wrong. And so what we see from this scene with Matthew is that he wasn't dependent on his parents' acknowledgement. He just went to say, I did these things, I'm taking responsibility, I'm sorry, please forgive me. And so sometimes even when we ask for forgiveness and take responsibility, the relationship might not be restored, and you might have to find a way to move on without being welcomed back in. And that sense of belonging can be really crushing. So I always say to people when they're wanting to do this work of going to ask for forgiveness, to be very clear about what you want, what you need, what you're hoping will happen as a result of the conversation that you're going to have. Because sometimes the outcome might not be what you want, but you know that you've gotten to a place in your healing, you've gotten to a place in your connection with Christ that you know that I'd like to do this, and the outcome doesn't matter, but there's something that I have to do. And this is said all the time. We forgive for ourselves. We ask for forgiveness and we give it for ourselves. We apologize when we do some things wrong, because that's what spiritual maturity looks like. Thank you for watching this reaction. If you enjoy this, please let me know what you think below the video. Have you been in a position where you've had to ask for forgiveness, where you've had to give it? Are you seeking forgiveness from people who are refusing to release? Are you stuck in a place of unforgiveness, but you'd like to move forward? Let us know below the video, and visit our website at woundscars.com. We have much resources there that could help you along this journey, even here on our YouTube channel. So don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more of this kind of content. I'm here every day with our podcast, Stories That Shape Us, with Joanna Danielle, and we deal with some of these themes. And next week, I'm diving into some abandonment stories in the Bible as we peel back some layers to help you, give you tools to cope. So please follow and subscribe. Thank you for joining. Take care.